Thanks for letting us know. So, a few more coming in. So, Sachiko, I will give an introduction.
Yes.
First.
Okay.
All right.
Introduction of myself or
of the talk, and then
of my talk. And okay. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to listen to my talk. And I'm a journalist. And today I'm talking about two families in Japan and handicraftsmen. And
okay, Sachiko, yes. If you, I'll let you begin once I've introduced the session. We're all very keen to hear what you have to say. So
yes. I just say the purpose of this. Then I will ask you to run the slide. How about that?
Well, I'll first introduce you. Okay.
All right.
Hi, I'm speaking to you from Nam, Melbourne, whose traditional owners are the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Though currently in lockdown, we enjoy the season of Porneet, when we first see the fruit on the trees. I pay my respects to elders past and present and the ancestors of the lands where you come from. And today, now with your permission, we will share our learnings over the course of the next hour. The Reinventing the Wheel series is an initiative of the Knowledge House for Craft, an association of thinkers and makers that aims to reflect the global diversity of our field. Each of these talks becomes a spoke in the wheel, a growing repository of craft knowledge. And I wish to acknowledge my colleagues in this endeavour who are present. We've got Ben Lignell, also Linda McIntosh is here as well, and Sachiko, of course, Tamaghige. We started the series with Arti Kolra, who recounted the development of an Asian model for craft in the 20th century, which embraced tradition. Then Layla Al-Hamad looked at the Arab model, which gives smell a central place. For Lagi Mama, the Moana perspective offered a customary framework for craft. Linda McIntosh revealed the role of royalty in Laotian craft. And from Senegal, Joseph Ndioni introduced the One Village, One Product movement, which is originally from Japan. Ha-Young Cho spoke about the role of universities in the development of Korean craft. Ezra Shales then offered a US perspective on craft in industrial settings. We then joined with the Journal of Modern Craft to explore the emergence of a new craft, the mask. Patricia Flanagan considered how craft skills could be translated through a haptic interface. And in the last talk, Professor Liying Chen reflected on the development of the workstation in recent years, where Chinese universities interact with local communities through craft. Inspired by the discourse of our Tongan colleagues, we call on the culture of our previous speaker to make a salutation before we begin. And delegating for Professor Chen, we have Pei Xuan Liu. Pei Xuan, would you like to offer us a greeting? It is the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival in China at the moment. So your greeting would be much appreciated.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, my thoughts is a little bit, yeah. Okay, so hi, everyone. So great to see you here. Yeah, we know the day before yesterday is the Mid-Autumn Festival. So I'm here to share the great respect and the greeting to you all. That it's so great to celebrate the festival. We are together here. Yeah, thank you.
I first met Sachiko Tamaghige-san in February 2018 when she invited me to a talk about gardens in Kyoto. I was deeply impressed by her thinking about Japanese craft, particularly its spiritual dimension. But this wasn't about depicting deities. It was reflected in what might seem quite a mundane activity, polishing or mikagu. This harkens back to our very first issue of Garland, which I will just remind us of, which was centered in South Korea, which featured Doril Dakta to polish a stone, a project by Eugene Moon and written hands that offers users the pleasure of completing the work themselves. This offered a value in repetitive labor that helps with mindfulness. Such perspectives complement the goal of the Knowledge House to open up our understanding of craft. The Western model has focused on the artifact to be catalogued, but there is another realm in its use, particularly as it affects our senses, such as smell. And I remember back for Lila's talk, Sachiko-san, when you introduced us to Koro, I think, the way of incense, the wonderful game of smell in Kyoto. And now the process of polishing. Sachiko Tamaghige-san studied journalism at Wadeda University, art history at Sotheby's, and film anthropology at Goldsmith College in London, where she worked for the BBC and Channel 4. She writes for many outlets, including Japan Times and, of course, Garland magazine, with a reflection on the enduring love of swords in Japan. So with great pleasure, I welcome Sachiko to share her learnings about polishing, metal and mirrors in Japan and its significance. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay. So, can I start? Could I start then? Hello, can you hear me? Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, can I start? All right. And hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. And I'm journalist, so I'm not the expert of crafts, but I have been thinking about one theme, how the human being could survive when the sort of singularity point came, means the through the domination of machine-made or artificial intelligence. Then I thought that probably the handicraft gives us lots of sort of hint. So that's why I chose two handicraft families in Himeji and Kyoto. So, and this family is the Meoji, the blacksmith, who has the strength of forging, and the Yamamoto as mirror maker, casting and polishing, to introduce the power of handicraft with the spirit of craftsmanship. And which can transform the physical material into something beyond, and with a special spiritual power. And particularly, I thought it was important is that light and sound. So, and Japan, the three regalias essential to ascend to the throne of emperor, which are mirror, sword, and a comma-shaped bead, jewel of jade. And I chose two of them, mirror and sword, to argue the power of light and sound brought by accomplished craftsmen by polishing and forging. It might be the area which human being can keep as raison d'être to survive the era of the domination of robots and artificial intelligence. It is time that we can look at the traditional craft to enhance the ability of making things of human being by hand, and find a way to coexist with those high intelligent robots or machine. Okay, so please run the first slide, installation of Meoji family. Okay, can you just stop it? Can you hear the sound? Everybody? It's very subtle of this fire chopsticks touch each other and create sound. And could you wait, Kevin-san, till I just finished this talk. The installation shows the essence of the evolution of the Meoji family, the house of blacksmiths in Himeji. The iron sand as a raw material of Tamahagane, which is the sort of special form of purified steel, and the long sword by Meoji Munehiro, and the Tamahagane Myojin Hibashi Furin, which is first chopsticks wind chime by Myojin Munetaka. So Myojin fire chopsticks, Myojin fire chopsticks, wind chimes. I hope you can hear that sound of the installation. The clear sound that resonates when the fire chopstick touch. It is said this enigmatic trailing sound is emitted only from forged iron. The skills of heating and forging this iron are skills kept secret and passed down through the generation of this one family. Okay, please run this slide, please. Slide, moving image. Thank you. Kevin-san, they can't hear this sound. It's a strange. I heard it when we tested. So what can I do? The sound is very crucial, but maybe send a link of the YouTube link. The Kevin-san, could you allocate or also send the link which I sent to you, the YouTube? The people can directly listen. Is it possible or not? Anyway, I like to make the interactive talk because I like to find out how each of you feels about this sound. But anyway,
Sachiko,
okay.
We heard it when we tested it, and I think maybe it was coming through the microphone here. So I've turned the microphone on here, so we should be able to hear it. So I'll just test that again.
It's because it's so slow.
Oh, Kevin, maybe you could just post the link on the chat so everyone watches it independently.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit lagging.
Okay, actually the most important sound is from the first film of the installation, which took place recently in Himeji, and it's over 5th of September. But that's, as I told you, the iron sand and raw material and long sword, and also this fire chopsticks wind chime. So anyway, I just move on, shall we?
Yes, move on.
Yeah, okay, I move on. And Meoji family is the sort of 50th 3 generations over 850 years. The present Meoji family is based in Himeji and Munemichi, this old man. Can you see that this old guy in front? He's Munemichi, 79 years old, and 52 second family head of the Meoji. The man next to him, the left hand side, is Munetaka, his third son, 45 years old, who succeeded to his position, the father's position, the 53rd family head this year in May. Okay, and could you put the next slide, please? Next one. Not this one. Next one. Yes. So this is a second son, Munehiro, 47 years old. Actually, the Meoji family is the well-known family for armor, but he became independent and he set up his own studio as swordsmith. And let me look at the history of Meoji family. So please remember the space and the name, although it might not familiar with you. The Meoji family are an old, well-known family of craftsmen with a unique forging technique that has been passed on since the Heian period. The family dates back to 12th century, and their business originated from armor, which has been used by aristocrats like the emperors, as well as the clans of samurai warriors. It is said that the Emperor Konoe from the 12th century commissioned the family to make a suit of armor and bit like, for horse. And the emperor was pleased by their work and praised their armor for its excellency, particularly mentioning that it is such a rare armor which makes a sonorous, bright, and clear sounds, and gave them the brand name Meoji, literally means bright and rare. The brand name Meoji has been spread across the country with the reputation of brilliant forging skill. Many daimyo, feudal lords, used their armors. During Edo period, Meoji was employed by the Sakai family, the lord of Himeji, of now the Hyogo prefecture. He came to Himeji with the Sakai family. It was written in old manuscript in Himeji that armors by Meoji was so strong, and nobody can, even sword or guns won't be penetrate through these armors. So it was so durable and well known for its excellency. But the end of Edo period, the era of samurai was over and Meiji era started. Armorers lost their job as well as swordsmiths. So Muneyuki, the 48th head of the Meoji family, started making hibashi, which is fire chopsticks, which was normally used for handling charcoals at the brazier, and the Meoji hibashi became popular, particularly among people of tea ceremony. The Meoji family shifted their business successfully from the armorer to the blacksmith by making hibashi, which is fire chopsticks, and jizai okimono. This is a kind of ornamental metal work, like shaped in lobster, whose joint is moving, something like that. It was very extremely popular in a great the exposition worldwide. But then they have to confront to a few more crises during World War II. The materials of their products, such as steel and iron, had to be delivered to the army. And on the top of it, after the war, their private property of the all armors and swords had been passed on with swords was confiscated according to the GHQ's order, which is a sort of a occupation government in Japan. They managed to survive by selling house and land so that they can manage to keep making Meoji hibashi, which is fire chopsticks, as a blacksmith. But the lifestyle of Japanese people after the war had been modernized and drastically changed. As for the heating system, the charcoal brazier or the fireplace had been replaced with oil, gas stove, or electric heater. The demand of hibashi was shrinking. Meoji family, the 52nd family head, had to go through hard time and thought of making wind chime by using the skill of fire chopstick. By trial and error, he succeeded in completing hibashi furin, the wind chime, in hibashi, the fire chopstick shape, which sounds incredibly beautiful, that they became well-known souvenir and specialty in Himeji. In fact, the quality of sound has been highly appreciated by prestigious musicians, sound experts such as Isao Tomita, one of the most important composers who pioneered electric music using synthesizer and introduced it to Stevie Wonder. And he said it was the enigma of the East. And Isao Tomita was visited by many world-famous stars like Michael Jackson, and he entertained him with Japanese high-quality sake with this wind chime, the sound of wind chime. Since 1964, the timbre of Meoji fire chopsticks has been used to test the sound quality of Sony microphones. The Meoji also collaborated with the watch and clock manufacturer Seiko to make a special sound. Munemichi, the father, is now 79 years old, so he's nearly retired. And Munehiro is now concentrate on making sword, but sometimes helped his brother Munetaka by providing the material Tamahagane forged by him to make the high end of fire chopsticks wind chime. And can you follow me so far? Is there any questions? No. So
no, that's good. Did you hear the chimes then? No. Okay.
Because it's a sort of many experts of sound really praise the sound of it. Now that I'm talking about sword making, Munehiro makes stratified Tamahagane steel with more than 30,000 layers by forging. Could you just get the next slide? This is a hammer. This is the scene where he is forging his so the material of sword. Next one, please. This is the sword made by Munehiro, but normally this kind of we appreciate sword, particularly the 2 points shape, curved, elegant curved shape, and also pattern on the edge of the blade, which is called hamon. It's a tempered patterns on the blade. So he tried to bring the sort of the scene of the cloud emerging. So, and next one, please. This is the brother get sort of material from brother and shaping it into the fire chopstick wind chime. Okay, by forging. Okay, next one, please. Then this is the chopstick, fire chopsticks, but made in made of Tamahagane, the special materials, purified material, which is limited to be used by swordsmiths. Okay, next one, please. This is a Tamahagane, which is a sort of transformed that you saw the sand iron, which was put into the fire and became like this. So they have to make it through special process. Next one, please. Then they the Munehiro, the swordsmith, broke it into pieces and put on this square-shaped stick. And next one, please. Put it into fire, and he sort of using another stick, and he forged this fired Tamahagane material. Okay, next one, please. Next is okay. Please go back to yes. So the power Munehiro makes stratified Tamahagane steel is more than 30,000 layers by forging, putting a lump of steel into fire and folding and hammering countless times. This process made Tamahagane as very special substance. Then Munetaka, younger brother, take it over to shape Tamahagane into fire chopsticks, wind chime. When I visited the studio of Munetaka, he demonstrated how to make Meoji hibashi of iron by forging. I was amazed the speed and the degree of concentration of Munetaka shaped the cylinder-shaped iron sticks into chopsticks shape. He said he could make shape of hibashi easily, but it is so difficult to make it sound wonderfully. You need a bit of jump to transform metal chopsticks to wind chime, adding formless value as a spark sound. The power of the sound of Meoji products. When a pair of chopsticks touch each other, it creates amazing heavenly sound, as if it transported our mind to the space or another dimension. So it's a shame that you can't hear it, because if you once you can hear it, then you know immediately what I'm talking about. Once I tested the fire chopsticks made by other maker of Nambu Nambu Tetsubin, which is also famous from Iwate Prefecture, but it makes just Dao sound. And Yoshihiro Kanno, a composer who has been using the Meoji Hibashi, the wind chime, for his tune, said that's the secret of the special sound and its resonance of Meoji wind chime is not explained. He found the 70,000 hertz from it, although the limit of the metal instrument is 40,000 hertz. And also the limit of an audible sound is between audible sound of people is between 2 kilohertz and 2,000 hertz and 20,000 hertz. The sound of Meoji Hibashi might touch upon something else more than auditory sense. And other amazing thing is that another remarkable topics of Meoji family is that Keizo, 53 generation, gave a special lecture and hold a forging workshop at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, to introduce the history of Meoji family and their distinctive manufacturing method. More than 100 students and researchers at MIT participated. So many students felt that the craftsmanship with handmade can be still very important in the age of automation with AI and 3D printer. So I wrote about the sword in 2018. So that's a please, if you are interested in the theme, so please look at it. I like to quote a little bit about my text. This sort of sword itself is a weapon, but in addition to their function as a weapon, people have worshipped their gleaming, beautiful forms for the sacredness and symbolism and appreciated them as artworks, associating them with various folk tales and legends since ancient times. As represented by the imperial regalia of Japan, the three sacred treasures, a mirror, jewel, like the comma shape like jewel, like this. Okay. And three sacred treasures have also been regarded as the proof of a sovereignty that is endowed by the gods, as well as sacred offering to the gods. Craft masters poured their souls into making such treasured swords of high perfection. This reflects the Japanese way of thinking based on Shintoism or animistic cosmology, where a good dwells in things which are made perfectly with the wholehearted dedication of craftsmen. Although swords are weapons, originally Japanese swords with perfect clarity and beauty became to be treated as talismans to ward off evil spirits. Japanese swords are a quintessential example to explain the national characteristic of Japan, including its aesthetics, mentality, and skills and attitudes that support the manufacturing of sophisticated fine arts and crafts. Then, when one encounters the breathtaking beauty and clarity of the glimmering surface of Japanese swords, one can help feeling clear, uplifted, and sublime. So the conclusion, the Meoji family have survived by reinventing themselves and adapting their business to the need of the time, demand of the time. But the Meojins has passed on their DNA of amazing quality of sound and light of metalsmiths over 8 centuries to present day. The skills to forge the armor that once protected their lives of samurai now resonate in a sound quality that soothes, enliven, and inspire the soul of people. So that's the end of Meojin family. Do I have a little bit more time?
I will just, I think I've got the sound.
So I hope everybody hear it this time. Okay, do I have 10 more minutes, or is there any question at this moment or not? Kevin-san, what can I do?
I think Kushbu had some question. Kushbu put her hand up before we go on to the second one.
Another topic, is that okay afterwards?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, Sachiko.
Yes.
You want me to ask my question later?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, we'll go into the next part.
Next part. All right. Okay. Now, next is the family of Mirror. This is the altarpiece of Nyakuichi Shrine. Used to be found by the very important family of samurai who really started the samurai era called Heike. And this shrine is Nyakuichi Jinja, Nyakuichi Shrine. And the lady is praying for the god, but in front of this mirror, can you see the up left, the mirror, which was polished by the person which I'm talking about, Akihisa Yamamoto. Yamamoto Akihisa. Sorry, I put the Meojin's name is surname and name, so I continue same order of the name. Yamamoto Akihisa. Okay. Next one, please. Mirror is, as you saw, normally this reflecting surface is the front, but the back side is decorated. It's originally we learned from continent China and Korea. So then developed in our own way. So the ancient, and the next one, please. So this is the front. It's a sort of completely shiny, smooth, solid surface. Okay. And the altar of the shrine with the mirror polished by Yamamoto Akihisa, the lady prays facing to the reflection of herself, whose soul is part of the entire universe of Kami, which is the sort of Japanese belief from Shintoism. So which means you try to confirm your pure enough, also sacred being. We call wakemitama, inherit sacred quality like God in you. So you check yourself reflected on mirror if you are clean enough or sort of honest enough. So that's the way to check yourself in front of God, to talk to yourself. That's the function of mirror some way, as well as offering to gods. So now Shintoism and Mirror. Ancient Japanese people sense gods and spirits in nature, such as rocks, water, waterfalls, and trees. And they used to worship each of them directly. The sun is particularly important as it is the source of light, which enables all lives to live and grow. The archaeological site in Okinoshima, the fragment of mirrors were discovered on the top of the rock. It shows that the ancient people brought down the light of the sun by using mirror to the rock as altar to worship. This must have been the form to worship the sun before they invented the personalized gods like Amaterasu as the sun goddess, who is the ancestor of the imperial family of Japan. In ancient times, bronze mirrors had close ties to religious ritual since they were brought to Japan from the continent, like China, in the Yayoi period, 300 BC to 300 AD. They played a special role as a host to the gods. Later on, mirror became one of 3 regalias of Japanese emperor. Now I'm talking about Yamamoto Akihisa. He's now 46 years old, handcrafted Japanese mirror maker. Born in 1975, 5th generation of mirror maker of Yamamoto Metal Works, which is from the end of the Edo era to today. He joined his family company after graduating from Ryukoku University, which he studied the Buddhism in literature department. As part of Yamamoto Metal Works, which deals with bronze mirrors and ornaments for Buddhist altar, they are the only producer of handcrafted Japanese mirrors, sacred mirrors, and magic mirrors in Japan. He is involved in the production of mirrors for Shinto shrines used as sacred host or offerings, the restoration of mirrors in museum collections, and more. Now the process of mirror making. The design on the back of the mirror is first drawn on paper and then applied to a mold of sand by pressing with carving tools. The designs featuring sacred beasts or flowers or plants imprinted in the sand are then filled with molten metal. Could I have a next slide, please? This next one, sorry. Okay, so this is a mold. A mold can take several months to create according to the size of the mirror and complexity of the design. And could I have a next one, please? So this is the sort of a process of pouring this into the mold. This front man, the man in front is Akihisa, Yamamoto Akihisa. It's extremely hot. So it's a painfully hot place. Okay, next one, please. Then the mirror is completed. This is a mirror which just come off from that mold. this pattern is, I commissioned special mirror, Akihisa, to make galaxy patterns on the backside. Okay, next one, please. Once a bronze mirror is cast, it is ground and polished repeatedly. Much of a mirror maker's work is done with sitting cross-legged. Could I have this is the tools of a mirror maker, like this. And this is his grinding with the files. And next one, please. This is more like a polishing with sort of utensil called sen. Okay. Thank you. And then, sorry, could you go back to that's galaxy pattern? The back side of the, this is the back side. So that's this front side became like a very smooth, shiny surface. Okay. Then could you go back to next? Okay. Now what I commissioned him is their specialty, the magic mirror. And the term magic mirror refers to a mirror that projects the design applied to its back in its reflected light. In Japan, they begin appearing in historical documents around the middle of the Edo period. In particular, the Christian magic mirrors used by Christians who endured persecution for their forbidden faith during the Edo period are well known. They are normal mirrors at first glance, but in a strong light, they project images such as Christ on cross or Virgin Mary in the reflection. But the pattern which you can see on the backside is the Buddhist figure. So the old image is hidden and only you get the image of Christ or Virgin Mary on the reflection, making them ideal everyday item that could be used for hidden worship. This and then why I asked him to make this, when metal mirror we are done from repeated grinding and polishing, they can sometimes project the design on the back. Far before the name magic mirror was coined, oldly polished mirrors could sometimes display the magic mirror phenomenon. These chance has been seen as a divine nature. Okay, then the magic mirror is the sort of, I asked Akihisa to make magic mirror to bridge between the religious cosmology, like Shinto cosmology, worship to sun goddess, and the sort of finding or scientific world of astronomer. So could you put the next one? So I had a dialogue with astronomer, and then I asked Akihisa to create a pattern of galaxy with the solar in the sun in the roughly in that position. And this telescope also contains a mirror. And I thought the mirror has been always used to reflect the truth of the universe. So that's why I like to bring the bridge between the world of religion and or faith and the world of scientific research by juxtaposing the traditional magic mirror handicrafted by Akihisa Yamamoto and that's actually the part of fragmented mirror made by advanced technology. Could I have a next one, please? So this is the latest telescope, which is the largest in East Asia, in which is made by Kyoto University with others. And the next one, please. So,
京都大学が浅口市の山の上で建設を進めてきた天体望遠鏡生命です。宇宙からの光を最初に受ける鏡の口径は 3.8 メートルで東アジア最大級の大きさ。18枚の鏡を組み合わせて1枚の大きな鏡にする技術は日本初ということです。京都大学は望遠鏡の愛称を一般公募し
Okay, thank you. Can you see the sort of circle of divided into
京都大学が浅口
18 fragment of a mirror, which was made by the company based in Gifu, which was the area famous for making excellent swords. So in a way, it has got tradition of grinding, polishing excellent swords. Then those companies developed the technology to grind and polish the mirror in a modern time. And now the sort of Kyoto University collaborated with those companies to create largest telescope to capture the nova, the supernova, or try to find out the secret of a black hole. So it is very near to the world discovery. So, and I like to homage to Kaname Nakamura, who is the polisher of mirror of telescope. He wasn't trained as a mirror maker professionally. He is an amateur, but some way he dedicated himself to polish mirror, and he was the head of observatory of Kyoto University, was very impressed by his dedication, and he employed to observatory. Then he created fabulous mirrors for telescope. Then it's make university accessible, university to use relatively inexpensive telescope about 1920s. So he contributed to the diffusion of inexpensive telescope in Japan, and Kyoto University observatory called Kwazan Observatory belongs to Kyoto University became sacred place of amateur astronomer in the world. So then I go back to, so I juxtapose the fragmented mirror of that's a high-tech telescope and Akihisa's magic mirror juxtaposed at the Museum of Kyoto University to bring the notion the mirror has been always contributing to bring or show the truth of universe. Then my conclusion is that this kind of bronze mirror, there's no demand for everyday life any longer, but Akihisa still wants to make by hand. The reason is that he has to do lots of restoration of bronze mirror, old mirror at shrines. So once sorry. Once he, the many people asked him why don't you use a machine? But he said to them, I like to carry on making mirror by hand, because once the technique is lost, it is so hard to regain it. And also he liked to maintain his skill of hand and also improve it. And but he has to think about how he could contribute his mirror making liable, sort of relevant to the contemporary society. That would be the one sort of challenge he has to take in the future. That's it all. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Sachiko, for what an amazing series.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's too complicated. I think I overloaded, and maybe I hope I didn't mess around the talk. And
my apologies about the videos. We tested it out and it worked, but hopefully
without hearing that sound, although when you hear the real sound in actual setting, it's just amazing. It soothes you immediately. And also it's you can hear from fairly distance. When I enter the museum, and this installation was in the far end of the venue, but I can hear then that's sort of echoing in the room whole day. It made the space completely transformed, almost like purified. So the power of sound is you can feel if you listen to or hear it in actual setting.
Yes,
that's
it resonates, certainly. So we've got quite a few people here listening to you, and I'm sure there's some interesting questions or comments that people might like to offer. I'm wondering, Hamza, if you're here from Morocco, a brassmith, what's your impressions of Sachiko's presentation were? How did you find it, and particularly compared to your involvement with brass?
Thank you, Kevin, very much for having me here again. And sorry, am I saying the name wrong?
Sachiko.
Sachiko, right? Sachiko-san. Hajimemashite. I did study Japanese a long time ago, but I can't pronounce much. Sorry.
Oh, you just went to mute.
Oh, sorry. Right, so this is Hamza from Morocco. I'm a brassmith. I work on brass. I engrave it, but I give it to someone else to polish it. Someone else's full-time job is just polish. And the way they used to polish it in Morocco, we used to use a special kind of a rare type of soil that comes from the Middle Atlas, not from where I am based in Fez. And that soil is called tabqa. And you can also use the same soil to make clay pots and other sorts of materials. But with the coming of machines and chemicals, we have to use some random blue powder that does the polishing much better than the soil. And so all these new technologies came to compete with the traditional natural ways of doing things. When this chemical product came, it killed not only the soil act of polishing, but also there used to be men and women who would come from the countryside, bringing that soil, who would go inside the streets, the narrow streets in Fez, and they would be shouting the name of the soil, telling people, we brought it, this is how you can polish not only metal or anything precious, but also anything used as, kitchen tools, for example. And so I liked your presentation because somehow there is something about Japan, which is very different from Morocco, which is the strong ancestral line. For example, in Morocco, I know I come from a multi-generational, family of craftsmen, but it is very difficult for me to say when it started, because in Morocco you can learn from your parents, or you can learn from someone in family, or you could learn from anybody else. And so you might carry on a legacy of 700 years, but then once it starts with you, it begins from ground zero again. And so 700 years is gone because you don't have the same name of those people who did it for 700 years. And so I like the Japanese part of, the name, the family, the genealogy and the line, which makes it more amazing. And I also find it interesting how all these beautiful traditions could be accommodated in a museum, because that's something that doesn't happen in Morocco. It's very, very hard to, not only to accommodate the idea, but to convince the general public that something sacred that is practiced by human craftsmen could actually become part of a museum institution. It doesn't work really this way. People here still think that anything sacred is to be in the hands of the layman people, of the general public, not necessarily the institutions. Again, arigatou gozaimashita. That was really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hamza.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes. And
You're welcome.
Kushbu, you had a question earlier on.
Hi, Sachiko. Very
Yeah,
nice.
hi.
And I was actually very excited while listening to you, because I'm able to relate the scenario here in India. And when you were talking about the mirror, so we also have bronze mirrors here in India as a traditional practice craft. So that is very wonderful to hear. And the most appreciating part was the way they invented new products and they adapted themselves as a family and the complete community. My question is very small. So as you have mentioned that from chopsticks, they invented wind chimes, right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
and they are using forging as the technique.
Sorry, what technique?
They were using metal forging as a technique, is it?
Geometric? I can't hear that. What
Forging.
technique?
Am I audible? Forging.
Fortune?
Forging. Forge.
Forging technique. Yes, forging.
Yeah, forging. Yeah,
But
that is the
it's a
main
different
technique.
way of making fire chopsticks from
Yes.
that of the wind chime. It looks apparently same, the chopsticks, but the Munetaka said it was extremely difficult make chopsticks sound properly. So it's all he also measured same height and same sort of the lengths and everything, the measurement is the same, but it sounds different.
Also, I'm just wondering whether the chopsticks are hollow and the wind chimes pipes, it is filled from inside or it is hollow. I think there must be a lot of research. Is it filled?
It's filled.
It's filled, and it's filled. It is metal only, is it?
Metal. And actually, the what you hear from that moving image is Tamahagane, the extremely special steel. But they can. That's the high end. It's something like 1,500 pounds or something like that. Very, very expensive. Yeah. But he normally use iron. That also sounds quite nicely, but not so good as the Tamahagane.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. I was just curious to know more about the process, the material, and whether it is hollow or not, or it is filled. So yeah, I just thought to check with you. Thank you so much.
I forgot to talk mentioning about the third son, the present family head, 53rd family head, Munetaka, started using titanium.
Titanium. Yeah.
Titanium.
Yes,
So-
yes, yes.
So that's why he also get diverse sort of line of wind chime.
Yes. So did over the period of time, did they play with the material, I mean alloys also, or the material is constant? Did they change the material also, or the material is constant in this case?
Material is constant apart from
constant.
Tamahagane, because Tamahagane is only limitedly used by
Yes.
swordsmiths. It's very, we have a very little sum of Tamahagane a year. So that's very
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sachiko. It's wonderful.
Thank you for your interest.
And we have a master with us, Lily Tregear. Good to see you. You look as though you've been taking this in.
Oh, I've just loved it so much. One moment, excuse me, Alfred. Can you just cut your ukulele playing? Thank you. So when I started jewelry making, I came from the farm, from a long tradition of grape growers, and I came to Melbourne and I went across with RMIT Jewelry and Goldsmithing School, and we saw a master sword maker in the museum where it was then, and we were so blown away by how magnificent this person, this master, sharpened the sword, sitting just like the image you have on the front of your document. But it strikes me that the sound, the reflection of the mirror is the universe, and the sound is also the sound the universe makes, is almost how I understand what's going on. So I teach a traditional techniques in my class, and it's on the edge of extinction because, it's always about, in our country, like everywhere, making more time and making more money, bringing those two sums together, that sum together. So we do some Japanese techniques, but we don't have a long tradition of making it. We are reading and searching through the documents about the Japanese. So we do silver Tamahagane. I teach shibubushi making, and we also do Damascus, but not 30,000 layers of steel, but we do knife making and everything. So thank you, Kevin. I was highly intrigued by your presentation.
But I also like to add that the sword making is a kind of collective work. So that today, because I don't want to make it simpler, that I highlighted on this Munehiro, the sword maker, as a star of sword. But actually there are people who concentrate on specializing just polishing.
Yes.
With, so-called whetstones. Most people concentrate on
there's
polishing. So
also polishing, polishing technique with charcoal.
Charcoal and whetstones.
Yeah.
That's sort of I didn't mention much, but it's also crucially important. And that's also that very important for the usual knife, hocho, Japanese knife for kitchen. That's also this sort of whetstone. It's now rarely to find it in Kyoto, but the very good chef has to get that particular polisher.
Yeah. So also polishing is one of those things that as a trend, as a fashion in making with the students, not very interested in, but I always talk to them how polishing is about, like no one can wear a ring if we're talking about metal. It must be polished on the inside because that's purity and it keeps you protected from the metal's reaction to your skin. So polishing is a very specialized technique that we often do with the machine, but to do it by hand in how you're describing I don't do it quite like that, but I love to burnish by hand my metal. Clean with file, emery, paper, and burnish. So there was...
Akisa, whether he gets bored sometime by, the repeated monotonous work all day. But he said he was fairly good at it in 2 hours concentration. And then he had a break. Then one time he was visited by monk, and he said, "Oh, it's almost like Zen meditation." But I think it's not far from the reality that if you test the brain wave, the monotonous repeated the manual hand work can make your brain wave is alpha, or sort of a good mindset, mind wave.
Absolutely,
yeah. So
that keeps us calm.
You can't underestimate the work of polishing. It's not intellectual, just boring. Right. It's quite important for handcraft.
And Sachiko, does that apply to the mirror as well?
Mirror as well, yes.
And is there a particular person who polishes the mirror? And is it a religious ritual?
Akihisa does it by himself from all process, which is quite rare somehow. So in a way, somebody mentioned the Moroccan, the gentleman from Morocco mentioned about this apprenticeship. But Akihisa was lucky; he was born into this family. They didn't impose him to succeed to their business. Then he went to university, and he just spontaneously want to take the family business as his occupation, because somehow probably the DNA is embedded. Then also there's around the grandfather was the sort of living national treasure who master bronze mirror, and also he was the one who found the method of magic mirror, and he was around as his great uncle, who is the younger brother of his grandfather, also around, and all those master craftsmen is from old class could watch over and help him to grow properly. So normally there's a bad reputation of Japanese apprenticeship. It's too strict, and nowadays the young generation can't want to succeed to their family business because it's so strict, and so they have to do all fundamental training, and it doesn't appeal to them. But Akishisa's case is very lucky. He just started his profession quite naturally with the sort of kind of a mild atmosphere the family, his father and grandfather created. So nowadays, depends on family. Sometimes the sort of to keep the lineage of the long traditional family, some new generation have to be trained so severely, but it really depends on the family. So, but Akishisa's case is very lucky.
Well, we just published an interview with Hamza from Morocco, who has taken on his father's craft of brass smithing and bookbinding. And he reflects also on the way in which child labor being outlawed, the fact that children cannot work before 15 years of age, means that this is interrupted the family transmission. So he is taking it on much later. But he says there are some advantages to that. So it's interesting to see that there can be a compromise between the traditional means of transmission and what we understand now, like what Linley is doing in terms of the more formal accredited courses that don't necessarily go into the same depth. So that's interesting to reflect on. So with your mirror, Sachiko,
Yes.
it looked like it was in an exhibition. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's
And
right.
what is it doing now? Where is the mirror?
Mirror is the Akisa Yamamoto possesses, and I just ask him to keep it yourself. One day, if you want to show it, just do it. It's just I like to open the new kind of world to him, so that's why I asked him to do it.
Well, it's inspiring as a writer that you're not just passively witnessing what's happening, you're also actively commissioning work. I think that's quite an important model for those craft scholars to look at. And I think it's a great credit, and it would be wonderful to see that work and what it reveals, the universe within at some stage.
Yeah. So when you come to Kyoto, I will take you to his studio to show this mirror.
Kushbu, did you have something else to ask?
Yes, I just want to ask Sachiko that do they have any patent or anything for the technique or anything? Did they sign any patent? Did they file any patent on the technique?
Patent of technique?
Intellectual property.
Yes.
Intellectual property for mirror of patent.
Yeah.
But that's traditional
Yeah.
figure. I think it's free. But if he made original pattern, then he could claim for the property. But I kind of wanted to somehow want him to challenge the new things, then also bring the new notion of the neutral pattern, free from any religion. So that's why I asked him to make a galaxy. But I gave him the photograph taken by NASA, the image of galaxy. And asked him to handwriting by seeing it. So that's why it was drawn by him. Then particularly I asked him, don't use a computer, just do it by your hand.
Like calligraphy.
Yes.
Calligraphy.
Yeah. Yes, it's beautiful. In India, we have a group, a specific family based in a village, Aranmula. So, they call metal mirrors as Kannadi. And it is very much famous as Aranmula Kannadi all over the globe. And they are making, small palm mirrors, and, mostly it has transformed more as a decorative thing. And in southern part of India, there is a tradition that during the marriage, one metal mirror, it is generally, as you have mentioned, in Japan also, it is considered as a sacred thing. So in southern part of India also, it has survived and sustained as a craft because it's been considered as a sacred thing. So, but they are just making mirrors for personal purpose, and the market is also very limited, and it is limited to a family or a group of people, to one region only. So that is why I am just thinking that the way things has transformed in India, and the family themselves invent new things and adapt it to new products. So I think it is an inspiration for other groups or other artisan families also to get inspired, and they can also find out their way forward. So it is indeed a very very knowledgeable and very wonderful thing to hear. Thank you once again.
Oh, thank you very much for your kind comments on that.
Yeah.
Well, Khushbu, I think it's opened up quite an interesting possibility of gathering together mirror makers and in a common quest to find the meaning behind the ornament in terms of what the mirror tells us about the world and particularly the truth that the mirror contains. So I think that would be, in a world of screens, I think it's very interesting to look back at the first screen really, which was the window
Indeed.
that the mirror offered. And I know there are elements there in African culture as well, where it's been associated with colonialism, because, the capacity to hold the world in your hand in a mirror was seen as part of white man's magic. And so there's been some work in Africa that kind of goes back to those first moments. So yeah, there's a lot of potential here. So thank you so much, Sachiko, for opening this up for us and for your dedication and your commitment in commissioning the work and working with these families to bear witness to their story in a time when we're so distracted by so many other things. So thank you so much, Sachiko. And the next talk will be by Liliana Morai, who was here before, and Silvia Sasioko. And that'll be very interesting because it's about the influence of Japanese ceramics, particularly Minge, in Brazil.
Oh.
And we've got she'll be introducing some Japanese Brazilians. So we can look at how that element of Japan migrates to Brazil. Obviously, it's been very important in Australia as well, but that should be an interesting dialogue. So thanks, everyone, and go well. Stay safe.
Stay safe and stay fit.